I recently faced my own worst nightmare. An HOA cop swerved into my mailbox for the third time in 6 weeks. And his excuse? He said he was helping keep the order. Funny thing is, the only thing enforced in the end was him confessing to all of his crimes. But let me start from the beginning. Sunrise snapped like a twig. Metal hit brick. Third time in 6 weeks. A pop. Then the long hiss of an airbag in Walter Vance's truck. I stood on my porch in a black robe, coffee warm in my hand. Dust hung over our ranch road. Behind him, nothing but fence and pasture. The door on his dented pickup said police in vinyl. His vest said HOA police. No badge, no department, just stickers and attitude. The only real badge in that scene was my mailbox. It stood straight, little flag up like a salute. Walter shoved his door and spilled out, clutching his forearm. "You booby-trapped county property, Arthur." Steam curled from the hood. His eyes were hot and small. I walked to the fence. A mailbox set back on my private easement, measured and permitted. I opened the lid and tapped the sticker inside. Approved model, county sign-off, breakaway core, for inch, built to code. "You set a trap." He kicked his front tire. The tire did not care. "Road is straight," I said. "Sky is clear." "You turned into it." He sneered. "Should have built better. Should have driven better." Gravel whispered. Gus rolled up in his old Ford and leaned on the window. One look and he grinned. "Mail call came early," he said. He tipped his cap at Walter. "You going to sign for that, Deputy Pretend?" Clara stepped onto the porch. Ponytail, scrubs, steady eyes. She carried a fat folder, a small thumb drive, and a clear sleeve. "Chain of custody starts now," she said, calm as a nurse calling a dose. "Originals stay with us. Copies for you." 2 county cruisers eased in. The first deputy scanned the scene fast. Clara stepped between them, tablet extended. Her voice turned clinical, as a surgical nurse. "Collision log with timestamps. 3 prior incidents. Same vehicle, same driver. Chain of custody verified." The deputy's eyebrows rose slightly. She'd just closed 4 questions before they could ask. 2 neighbors lifted phones and filmed. Vinyl police cosplay vest. Bent hood. Calm homeowner. Proud mailbox. "Morning," I said, passing the folder. Trail cam caught the hit at 6:14. Cameras in the cottonwood. "Private drive, posted." The second deputy gripped the post and gave it a firm shake. The core flexed and reset. "Breakaway," he said and wrote it on his pad. "Compliant." Walter jabbed a thumb at his door. He rammed an officer. The first deputy looked at the vinyl word, then at the vest, then back to Walter. "You with the department?" "Homeowners," Walter muttered. "I help keep order." "Federal property was struck," the deputy said, voice flat. The word federal landed like a bell. I raised my cup. Title 18, Section 1705. A plain sedan turned in behind them. The jacket on the driver had a small crest. Postal inspection. Inspector Santiago stepped out with a tablet. He snapped the sticker in the mailbox. Photo. He knelt by the scrape on Walter's bumper. Photo. He watched my clip frame by frame until the vanity plate filled the screen. Scratch on the 3 clear as day. He did not rush. He did not talk first. A truck with a support HOA safety sticker rolled past. 3 men inside Walter's poker group. They slowed beside Diane's place, one pointing at her camera, making sure she saw them looking. She stood straighter, not away. The balance was shifting, fence by fence. "Video shows impact," the deputy said to Santiago. "Owner has permits. Post flexes as designed." Santiago nodded. "Please send the full file." "Originals preserved." Clara held up the thumb drive. "Native file, unedited, hash logged." He took the drive, then looked at Walter. "We will document and refer for federal review. We handle mailbox crimes, not injury claims." The deputy turned to Walter. "You are being detained while we complete the report. You may receive citations for careless driving and property damage." Dash marks matched the swerve. "We'll document both." He sat Walter on the curb beside his own tire. No cuffs, no show, just process. Right on cue, slippers on gravel. Brenda Adler marched down the lane like the road owed her favors. "Entrapment," she said, voice sharp. "He built a weapon. You will cite him. That brick is illegal." The second deputy tapped his notes. "Breakaway core. Compliant. Setback clean. Private drive." He pointed at the clean arc in the dirt where Walter had steered. "Driver appears to have aimed for contact." Brenda's smile turned to a straight line. "We'll see you in court," she said to me. "Bring a ruler," I said. Numbers travel well. A tow truck rolled in. The hook dropped. Gus called, "Smile, Walter," and took a picture with his old flip phone. Dust glittered in the light while the winch whined. The scene felt neat. Mailbox steady, truck not. Santiago closed his tablet. Keep the site as is, he said. No changes. He handed me a card. Email the native files today. Clara nodded and wrote the time on the back of his card, the way she does with meds. The deputy gave me his own card for the report. You'll be contacted if we need a further statement. He looked at the mailbox again, then at the vinyl on Walter's door, then at the vest. His face said enough without words. Walter glared at me across the gravel. You think this is over? It just started, I said. The tow pulled his truck away, hood folded like a bad promise. Brenda trailed after it, phone up, lips thin. Gus watched them go, then spat in the dust exactly where Walter had stood. Shame about his truck, he said, face solemn. Good thing he's got that fine uniform to keep him warm. Gus lingered. You're calm, he said. Calm wins, I said. I took a last look at the arc his tire carved and the way the dust had settled. I have learned to study the floor more than the shouting. Floors tell truth. I turned back toward the house, and a thought pressed cold against my neck. The crash was loud. The quiet before it had been worse. Somewhere in that quiet, someone had moved a piece they should not have touched. But the night before, at 1:58 in the morning, someone moved Walter's truck. My camera saw it. I saved the file. I am slow to accuse, but I am quick to fix. That night, I pulled a trail cam off a barn nail and set it in the cottonwood by the lane, low and wide, a plate, a face. I ran a skinny cable to a recorder in the tack room and a little link to my phone. I taped a note inside the lid of the mailbox. Title 18, Section 1705. A quiet reminder. A mailbox is federal. You do not need to shout if your facts are clean. Saturday at the market, I found Ms. Desai at the county table. She answers fence and setback questions between coffee sips. I slid her a simple drawing. She marked breakaway core, signed, and stamped it. Back at the ranch, I checked the cam twice a day. At dawn, the road turned gold and the app buzzed. A dented pickup drifted to the right like a lazy shark. Tap. Wood jumped. Letters flew. The truck kept rolling. The plate filled my screen. The scratch on the 3 showed clear. I did not chase. I saved the clip. I saved the time. I set the box back so the carrier could work. Clara and I watched the video 3 times at the table. We did not need 3, but sometimes you sit with truth until the sting turns into a plan. She slid a legal pad over and wrote 2 columns. What happened, and what we can prove. Under proof, she wrote 4 words. Date, plate, model, code. Then she circled code and assembled the evidence. I drove past Walter's truck in the lot that afternoon. The bumper bin matched the notch on my split post like they had shaken hands. He saw me look and smiled like a boy who had just found a rock to throw. Build better, he said. Drive better, I said and walked on. That evening, I wrapped the split with bright tape so any new shift would show. I tucked the camera deeper in the leaves and set a second cam across the road, low, to read plates from the far shoulder. I wrote a short timeline on a single sheet. Hit, fix, cam, hit. No adjectives, just verbs and dates. Clara called the postmaster and read the model numbers we were considering for the rebuild. Approved, the postmaster said. Carrier likes locking doors. Clara wrote the call Idaho in the margin and slid the note into the folder behind Ms. Desai's stamp. She is steady like that. When she files, the room gets quieter. That night, a truck idled by the gate long enough to make the hair on my arm stand up. Headlights washed the porch and the new tape around the post. I did not step outside. The cam took the plate. The recorder took the time. The engine shut off. The road went black again. The cold feeling did not. Morning brought a clean clip and a clear decision. I could email the sheriff right then. I could send the file to the postal inspector right then. I wanted one more step first. I wanted to set the fact down in front of Brenda and see what she did when the plate filled the room and the timestamp sat like a brick on her desk. So I charged my phone, printed the still the size of a placemat, and took a front row seat at the next meeting. If they respected paper, they would act. If they respected noise, they would smile and move on. Either way, the door was about to open. Not a door with a gavel, a door with stamps and badges and a bench under bright lights. I played the clip. The plate matched Walter's truck. I asked for a simple notice. Stop swerving at mailboxes. Brenda said it was hard to tell and moved on. So that was their answer. A pat on the head, a closed door, and the belief I'd slink away, beaten. They thought the room had the final word. But rooms don't decide things. Evidence does. And evidence has a longer memory than bullies ever expect. I walked out into the lot. Heat shimmered on Walter's hood. The bumper bend still matched the notch on my split post. He saw me look and gave me that same grin. Better builders don't whine, he said. Better drivers keep two hands on the wheel, I said. At home, I called the county. I want a site check, I told the clerk. Next day, Ms. Desai met me at the gate with a clipboard and a steady look. We measured the setback. We checked the slope. We looked at the shoulder width and the ditch line. Breakaway core, she said, tapping my old plan. She wrote a short letter with the key specifications, signed it, and stamped it. Numbers over noise. I ordered the approved locking box. I cut the 4-inch round and drilled the yield cuts clean. I poured a small base that fails before force gets mean. I slid a hollow brick sleeve over the core. It looked like a normal ranch box with a tidy coat, not a wall, a safe post, and a tough dress. I took photos at each step, with the day and time bold at the top. While the concrete set, I swapped the trail cam card and saved the older clips twice. One copy to Gus, one to Clara. She logged everything with clinical precision. The next day, the box stood ready. Inside the lid, the sticker matched the list at the post office. On my counter, the county letter lay beside a fresh inspection card. I looked at both and felt the hum you feel when a fence line is straight and the corners are true. I could have stopped there, but a board that smiles at a plate will not see a post. I printed the timeline on one sheet. Hit, fix. Hit, fix. Camera, clip. Inspect, approve. I set the binder on the table and closed it with my palm. They thought the room closed the book. I had a different ending in mind, the kind that signs its name in ink. Online, they called it a bunker. Brenda live-streamed and labeled it weaponized. County inspected and tagged it compliant. The HOA taped a violation and rushed an emergency wood post only rule at 5 o'clock in the evening. Ms. Desai reminded us county code outranks their paper. County approves breakaway cores, I said. My core breaks away. The brick is a sleeve. You cannot ban a sleeve to defeat a core. And you cannot write a rule today and punish people for last week. Time moves forward. A few folks laughed. She did not. The motion passed by 2 hands, hers and the quiet man beside her. After the vote, a board member I did not know slipped me a folded paper in the aisle. Check the minutes when she posts them, she whispered. The draft you see will not match what we said. Someone called me a danger to children. Someone said a judge would rip the box out by morning. Gus slid a comment under one rant. Then he walked over with pie and sat on my tailgate while we watched the road go pink in the last light. They will try court next, he said. When noise fails, bullies rent a bigger speaker. By dawn, headlights crept past my gate again. The FARCam took the plate. The log took the time. I did not give the man in the cab a show. I gave the file another line. The next afternoon, Walter blocked my truck at the feed store. Records can get lost, he said, stepping close enough I could smell coffee on his breath. He tapped my chest with 2 fingers. Accidents happen to people, not just mailboxes. I didn't flinch. Cameras see fingers too, I said. He walked away, but the threat hung in the air like smoke. Clara set her hand on my shoulder and said, "Stay boring. Boring wins." That afternoon, the minutes went live on the HOA site. They said the board voted 3-0. They said notices were mailed before the crash. File properties, 10:03 a.m. author, admin_Brenda. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A quiet voice. We did not mail anything. Watch for more changes. Click. No name. Enough information. I printed the agenda I carried to that meeting. I printed the posted minutes. I printed the metadata with the 10:03 a.m. edit. I stacked them in the binder under a new tab and wrote one clean label, time. Then came a soft knock. A deputy stood on my porch with an envelope and a sorry look. He said my name the way men do when they know the contents are dumb. But the job is the job. The next paper I served would not be pink. It would be sworn. And when it landed, it would drag their story into a room where timestamps and gate logs matter more than robes and noise. The deputy set the envelope in my hand like a brick. You've been served, he said, voice low. Civil complaint. Names on top. Walter Vance, Brenda Adler, Black Willow Homeowners Association. The words underneath tried to make my mailbox into a monster. I laid the stack on the kitchen table. Clara set 2 mugs down, then a yellow pad. We read, line by line, negligence, intentional harm, emotional distress, unauthorized structure in a public right-of-way. They called the brick sleeve a wall. They called the core solid steel. They called Walter an officer. They pasted a fake quote from an account I do not own. Clara drew a small dot next to each lie. I spoke the counters out loud. Breakaway core, hollow sleeve, private drive, county inspection passed, USPS approved model, parcel not in HOA, trail cam shows a swerve, plate clear, time clear. At the end sat a rush request. Emergency motion, remove the mailbox now. Hearing set for 5 o'clock in the evening. Brenda likes tired rooms. We called Ms. Desai first. They filed, I said. They want it down. Send me the case number, she said. 10 minutes later, she called back. I'll write the court a plain letter, she said. Model number, setback, yield slots, base design. And I will bring a short demo post and a pull scale. If the judge wants to see breakaway, he will see breakaway. Next, I called Inspector Santiago. We do not speak to injury, he said. We verify statute and sticker. Preserve your originals. Put a copy of the timeline in my file. That is his way. Narrow lane, heavy weight. We hired a lawyer that afternoon. Franklin, small office, big ears. He listened more than he spoke. He looked at the complaint and then at me. We are not going to argue with adjectives, he said. We are going to carry facts. 4 pillars, breakaway core, private land, federal statute, clean record. He built a binder with tabs I could read from across the room. Timeline, county code, Ms. Desai's letter and stamp, inspection cards, postal model list and carrier note, trail cam stills, and the full clip on a drive. HOA agenda and posted minutes with the 10:03 a.m. edit circled in red, gate logs, request blank for now. A single sheet on top titled Facts, with 10 short lines and not one extra word. 2 days later, a courtesy copy of the minutes hit our inbox. This version said, notices were hand-delivered before the crash. Our quiet board member texted, no, they weren't. Check properties. Properties showed 10:03 a.m. 2. No votes now read yes. Franklin slid that print under the tab and wrote one neat note in the margin, authenticating witness available. Send me the report for my binder, I said. They did. On hearing day, the courthouse smelled like lemon and paper. Brenda wore a storm gray suit, pressed sharp as a tax audit. My folder had dog-eared corners and pencil notes the patina of actual use rather than show. The difference was right there in plain sight. Walter wore a sling he did not need anymore. I wore a clean shirt in calm. Franklin carried only the binder and the thumb drive. Brenda's lawyer led with heat. A wall dressed as a post, he said. A weaponized mailbox. He waved a blown-up photo. My client is an officer. He was injured by a reckless design. The judge held up a hand. We will need proof that your client is law enforcement, he said. Continue. Franklin stood and did not speak for 2 seconds. Then he set Ms. Desai's letter on the bench and the inspection cards on top. Breakaway core, he said. Yield slots, base designed to fail safe. Brick as a hollow sleeve over the core. He slid the one-page postal model list and Clara's call note with the call Idaho. USPS approved model, carrier confirms. He laid the thumb drive down. Video shows a deliberate swerve into a compliant post on private land. Last, he held the single sheet titled Facts so the judge could see the 10 lines, dates, and verbs. The courtroom sound faded to air. The judge watched the clip on a small screen. Dawn, drift, tap. The plate filled the frame, scratch on the 3 clear. He tapped the stamp on the inspection card once with his index finger. He looked at the minutes metadata with the 10:03 a.m. edit. He sighed the way a man sighs when time has been bent. Emergency relief is extraordinary, he said. It is reserved for clear law and immediate harm. He looked at Brenda's counsel. Motion denied. The mailbox stands. The merits are reserved for trial. 1 line. Final. Brenda blinked. Walter stared at his sling like it had failed him. In the hall, Franklin said, now we build the rest of the fence. He filed discovery requests that afternoon. Raw minutes in native format with edit history. Gate fob logs near my road for the week of the crash. Any safety patrol notes kept by Walter. Calls between Brenda and Walter the night before. He asked for patrol rosters, uniform orders, and vendor receipts for vests and vinyl. He did not ask a question he did not plan to prove. The HOA stalled. Security concerns, they wrote. Franklin filed a motion to compel and copied the judge. The judge set dates. Warnings for sanctions went in the margins like little storm clouds. Near noon the next day, a flatbed rolled up with 2 men in neon vests and a borrowed logo. A jackhammer stood in the bed like a promise. HOA order, one said. We can peel the brick today. Quick job. I filmed from my side of the locked gate. This is private land, I said. 1 swing, and you are in trespass. Your authority does not cross this sign. Private trespass notice is on file. He called Brenda on speaker. Her voice came thin and hot. Remove it, she said. The man put his foot on the step and then froze because Ms. Desai's county truck nosed into the lane, the badge on her sleeve catching sun. His eyes pinged from my camera to her patch to the word private on the sign. He backed down the step. They packed up and left. The ratchet clicked in reverse. A small win, loud enough to hear. That evening, an email hit from a print shop clerk I did not know. She wanted a backdated woodpost flyer. The note read, attached sat an order ticket with that day's date, and a margin note that said, make it look old. The HOA tried to make a deal. Remove the brick. Pay $5,000. Sign a non-disparagement. Their letter said. Franklin printed it and underlined the word remove. He slid it across the table. I pushed it back. No. He filed our reply. We will seek fees and sanctions for altered minutes. At midnight, my far cam pushed a clip. 2 figures at the end of the lane. One slid into Walter's driver's seat. The other held a phone low. The engine nudged forward 3 feet. A flash flared off the plate, and a cracked taillight sticker, shaped like a crescent moon. Then both ran. I saved the file twice and drove a copy to Franklin at dawn. He mirrored it, logged the hash, sealed a copy. By afternoon, the court granted our motion to compel in part. Gate logs would come. Minutes in native format would come. The clerk called that evening. Judge wants to see you tomorrow, she said, voice carefully neutral. Bring the original recordings. Franklin's text was shorter. They're panicking. 3 calls from their lawyer in an hour. Don't answer your phone. The judge wrote one line I liked. Time does not run backward. Franklin smiled with his eyes. Next stop is depositions, he said. We will ask yes or no. We will not ask how they feel. They wanted the judge to rip my post out the same day. Instead, the court told them to bring their clocks and their paper and stand under bright lights. And the one thing they had done in the dark, the little shove that moved a truck 3 feet, was now sitting on a drive with a timestamp sharp enough to cut. I set the binder on the table and closed it with my palm. The easy way was to pull the sleeve and call it peace. The right way was to make the record stand up on its own legs and teach the road what bends and what breaks. The night before court, I stood at the window watching headlights sweep the lane. Somewhere in town, Brenda was preparing her story. Somewhere, Walter was practicing his injured look. But stories bend under the weight of facts. And facts were what we carried. Night came soft. Crickets worked. The binder lay open on the porch table like a toolbox. I could make all this stop by pulling the brick sleeve and planting a thin wood stick. I could buy quiet, but it would be the kind that lives under a boot. Clara watched me think. You want calm, she said, but not fear. She looked at the gate. If we cave, he learns the wrong lesson. The kids on this road learn it, too. I can settle, I said. They will want money and a promise. They will call it a win. Walter will smirk. Brenda will crow. I let the words sit. Or we go the full way. No theater, just truth. She set her hand on mine. Warm, steady. Go the full way. Use the rules they ignore. I will keep the record clean. So I chose. I called Franklin. No deal, I said. We stand. He did not cheer. He said, good. Then we build our own clock. He filed a counterclaim for the 2 earlier hits. Dates, photos, cost. He asked the court to block any new rule aimed at one box. He asked for fees if they kept pushing lies. I wrote the sheriff about the vest and the vinyl word on Walter's door. Plain words. A man wore a police vest. A man used it to pressure neighbors. A man hit a mailbox and called it order. I attached photos and the clip. The reply said they would review impersonation and markings under state law. Slow wheel, but it turns. I met Diane at the fence. She brought photos of the rut by her post. Her voice trembled. They cut my fence last night. Cattle got into the highway. She pointed at the clean slice marks on the wire. Not broken. Cut. 3 days later, I found my water line to the south pasture cut clean. 20 head of cattle with no water in July heat. They would have died by noon if I hadn't checked at dawn. I took photos of the pipe. Same clean cuts as Diane's fence. Walter's poker buddies had been seen on that fence line the evening before. Accidents happen, Walter had said at the feed store. This wasn't just petty anymore. This was livelihood. I felt cold despite the sun. You have cameras? She shook her head. Getting them today. This wasn't just about mailboxes anymore. We logged it. Others began documenting their own incidents. I shared the statute and Santiago's card. Facts like company. They walked in on their own. I called Santiago. We will not touch civil injury, he said. We will file the statute piece clean. Preserve originals. That is his way. Narrow lane, heavy weight. I called Ms. Desai. If the judge wants it, I said, would you show Breakaway in person? Yes, she said. I will bring a short demo post and a pull scale. I can make it plain. Clara moved through the house like a quiet engine. She labeled each clip, stamped each page, built an index that could guide a stranger. She called the postmaster again and logged the second call Idaho. She printed the carrier's note that said, the model is approved and the lock helps. She set the binder by the door and the mirror copy in the safe. Chain of custody is solid, she said, and the room felt sturdier. I hardened the system against tampering. Calm wins. Brenda wrote about outsiders and dangerous walls. My parcel is not in her HOA. My post is not a wall. People argued in the thread like dogs behind a fence. I did not answer. Gus set 3 words under her post. Then he came over with a sack of bolts because he knows men need work when storms build. The court set dates. Depositions on Friday. A site visit the next week if the bench wanted one. Discovery deadlines fixed. Franklin sent formal requests. Raw minutes in native format with edit times. Gate fob logs near my road for the week of the crash. Any patrol notes kept by Walter. Calls between Brenda and Walter the night before. Uniform orders. Vendor receipts for vests and vinyl. He did not ask a question he could not prove. That night, a truck idled at the end of my lane again. Lights off, then on, then off. The new cam caught the plate clean. The log took the time. I did not open the door. I was not bait. I was a fence line made of dates and stamps. In bed, I stared at the ceiling and ran the hard line in my head. If I lose, what lesson do I leave? My daughter's drawing of our mailbox was pinned to the fridge. She'd added a small figure beside it herself, standing tall. This is me guarding it, she'd explained. Children absorb everything, especially the battles we think they don't see, that loud winds, that costumes move law, that minutes can bend time. Anger rose and passed like a bad front. I kept the part that mattered. My kids and the neighbor kids will live under the rules we accept. I will not teach them to bow to a vest from a print shop. Morning brought 2 small wins. The judge granted our motion to compel in part. Gate logs and native minutes would come. The clerk stamped the order. The stamp looked better than any speech. Then the postmaster faxed a short line for our file. Model on the lid matches the approved list. Carrier preference, locking door. Clara clipped it behind Ms. Desai's letter and wrote the time in the corner. Franklin called with his plan for the room. We will not argue feelings, he said. We will carry 3 straight lines. Breakaway core, private land, federal statute. Each line ends in a stamp. He paused. And we will ask simple things under oath. Yes or no? Did you turn the wheel? Did you edit at 10:03? Did you ping the gate at 1:56? We will not fill silence for them. I walked the fence at dusk with Gus. He kicked a rock and watched it roll. You could have pulled the sleeve and moved on, he said. I could have, I said. That teaches the wrong thing. He nodded. Right thing costs more, lasts longer. We stood at the lane and listened to the cottonwoods talk. The mailbox threw a short, square shadow on the gravel. It did not care about court or minutes. It was built to hold letters and bend, not break. That is all a post can do. The rest is on the hands that steer. By midnight, the road was empty. The cameras blinked in their quiet way. The binder on the table looked less like paper and more like a wall you build 1 brick at a time, without ever raising your voice. Because the thing that would move this fight was not a shout in a meeting. It was one clean yes or no, under oath, and a night clip that refused to blink when someone tried to move the truth in the dark. The deposition room was plain, long table, water that tasted like dust. The court reporter sat straight with a small machine on the edge. Franklin set our binder down and tapped the top once. Slow, he said. Simple. Walter went first. No vest, no vinyl word to point at. Just oath and chair. On the morning of the crash, Franklin asked, what lane did you hold? Center, Walter said. Franklin slid a still across the table. The tire arc curved toward my post like a drawn smile. Why does the track bend right? Wind, Walter said. The trees are still, Franklin said. He clicked the clip. We watched the wheel turn and the truck drift. Did you turn your wheel to the right? He asked. Yes or no? Walter's jaw worked. Yes. Are you a sworn officer? No. Then why? People listen, he said, and for a second, he looked proud. The reporter's keys whispered that pride into the record. Brenda took the chair next. Calm face, fast smile. Who edits the minutes? Franklin asked. I do. Do you log changes? We post the best version, she said. Did you mail notices about a wood post rule before the crash? Yes. Show stamps or a clerk log. We hand-delivered. Names, Franklin said. I do not recall, she said. Franklin set 2 prints in front of her. Agenda draft, posted minutes. The second had a new line. Notice mailed. Properties, show 10:03 a.m. He did not raise his voice. This line appears only in the late edit. Clerical clarity, she said. He let the silence sit until it made a sound. Then it was my turn. Franklin walked the room through clean pages, timeline, permit letter, inspection cards, postal model list. Clara placed each exhibit down with a soft click and called the number so the reporter could tag it. Chain of custody is live, she said, not for drama, but for the record. The judge set a site visit if needed. The order on our motion to compel would come by end of week. Gate logs, native minutes, patrol notes, vendor receipts for vests and vinyl, calls between Brenda and Walter the night before. Franklin asked for nothing he could not prove. He did not fill silence for them. He let it press. Back at the ranch, the road looked calm. It was not. A van marked Safe Streets Compliance rolled up near noon with a jackhammer in the bed and a rented logo on the door. 2 men in neon vests climbed down with practiced smiles. Here to help you meet the new rule, one said. We can peel the brick today. Quick job. This is private land, I said through the locked gate. Your rule stops at this sign. You touch that post, and you step into trespass. He flipped a page like paper could turn a fence into a sidewalk. We have authority, he tried. He set the ratchet on the sleeve. The handle clicked once. The sound carried. Clara lifted her phone. Video rolling, she said, and read the timestamp out loud for the clip. The man called Brenda on speaker. Her voice came thin and hot. Remove it, she said. A county truck nosed into the lane at that moment. Ms. Desai stepped out with a clipboard. The sun caught the patch on her sleeve. The tech's hand hung mid-pull. His eyes pinged from the badge to my camera to the word private on the sign. The ratchet clicked in reverse. They packed up. They left. That small sound was a win. Not loud. Clean. Franklin tuned the rest. We do not argue feelings, he said that night. We carry 3 straight lines. Breakaway core, private land, federal statute. Each ends in a stamp. He slid a short list across the table. Witnesses, in order. Ms. Desai for the pull test. Inspector Santiago for the statute and sticker. If needed, the print shop clerk to explain the backdate request. The quiet board member to authenticate the minutes. We will not oversell, he said. We will show. The HOA tried a new angle. An update to their minutes went live at midnight. Now it said 3-0 vote weeks before the crash. Now it said notices hand-delivered to impacted owners. The file properties still said 10:03 a.m. edit. Same user, same time. Clara printed the native file info and slid it under the tab called time. Numbers do not blink, she said. By morning the court's order landed. Motion to compel granted in part. Gate fob logs do. Minutes in native format do. Patrol notes and any vendor orders do. The clerk's stamp sat in the corner like a small flag on high ground. Franklin did not smile. He squared the stack. Depositions resume Friday, he said. 2 more yes or no rounds. Did your fob ping the side gate at 1:56 a.m.? Did you call Mr. Vance at 1:58? We do not need speeches. We need the record to put its own weight on the table. The HOA page boiled. People argued about walls and safety and outsiders. My parcel is not in their HOA. My post is not a wall. I did not answer. Gus posted 2 words under a long rant. Paper wins. Then he came by with bolts because he knows a man rests better with a task in his hands. That afternoon, Inspector Santiago walked the shoulder and traced the crash curve with his boot for his own file. He read the sticker in the lid again, even though he had it. We'll keep to our lane, he said. Referral is in. As the sun dropped, the road pulled its long shadow across the gravel. I checked each camera and matched the timestamps to my phone. I wrote the offsets in the margin. I sealed a fresh card in a dated bag. Clara set the binder by the door and tapped the index she built. Straight, she said. No gaps. The house went quiet. The cottonwoods talked in the dark. Somewhere a truck door popped and shut. I did not go outside. I watched the far camera feed, black and gray. A shape moved at the end of the lane, then another. They stood for a long beat, like they were counting. The nearer one slid into a driver's seat I knew too well. The other held a phone low, screen down, face lit from below like a small lantern. The engine turned once, then caught. The truck nudged forward 3 feet and stopped. A flash flared and died. Both figures ran. The clip pushed to my phone with the time stamped at 1:58. I saved it twice. At first light, I would drive a copy to Franklin. No leaks, no edits. The file would speak. They thought the minutes could bend and the rules could reach my fence, but the road has its own record. And when the road writes, it does not ask permission. Dawn came thin and blue. I drove straight to Franklin's office with the night clip on a fresh drive. He opened the door, said nothing, and set 2 sealed sleeves on the desk. I handed him the drive. He mirrored it to both, logged the hash with timestamp and witness signatures. SHA 256 hash recorded, tamper evident, and unique. The kind of detail that makes technical people on a jury sit up straight. No leaks, he said. We let the file talk. We called our quiet board member from a number that does not save. She sent the raw minutes in native format from a private address. Properties show 10:03 a.m. New line inserted. Notices mailed last week. 2 no votes now said yes. Franklin wrote 1 calm note on a yellow tab. Authentication witness available. The gate logs arrived after the court signed our motion to compel. A thin PDF with 9 lines and a clerk stamp. 1 read. 156. Adler, side gate near County Road 12. Another read. 158. Vance, main entrance. Time, name, gate. No color. All wait. I called Inspector Santiago. We have a night clip, I said. We can put a person in a driver's seat at 158. He kept his lane. Send a copy for the file, he said. We confirm plate and model. We do not read motive. I sent it. The federal folder got heavier by an ounce. Gus stopped by with coffee and a look that had both grin and worry in it. He watched the clip twice on mute. She brought a robe to a truck fight, he said. Then he tapped the pause frame with the plate glare and the driver profile. That right there, he said, is how a story ends. I nodded. Or begins, I said. The print shop clerk emailed again. Last line for me. The note read. She asked for a backdated Woodpost flyer. I refused. Attached sat an order ticket with yesterday's date and a margin scribble. Make it look old. We printed it and slid it under the tab with the minutes. Discovery dropped one more stone in our hand. A screenshot of the board group chat from the night before the crash. Brenda, meet near Arthur's at 1:45. We need to check sight lines. Walter, I'll bring the truck. Another member, log this. Brenda, no paper. A line later, our quiet board member sent it with shaking hands. I'm done, she typed. We kept her name off any page that might leak. We tuned our list. Ms. Desai first with a live pull test and plain words. Inspector Santiago second for statute and sticker. The board member to authenticate minutes. If the judge wanted it, the print clerk to explain the backdate request. Then the gate log and the midnight clip to set time, place, and driver shape in one frame. Franklin called the HOA council. We are ready, he said. They tried to bargain. Remove the brick sleeve. Pay $5,000. Sign a non-disparagement. Their letter said. Franklin printed it and slid it across the table. I slid it back. No. He filed our reply. We will seek fees and sanctions for altered minutes. Brenda posted a new blast online that night. She said I harassed volunteers and surveilled families. She said the HOA police is a respected program. None of it touched the 3 straight lines we carried. Breakaway core, private land, federal statute. Noise fell off those lines like dust off a boot. We added one more small thing to the night clip. A freeze on the plate flash showed a cracked taillight sticker shaped like a crescent moon. Walter's truck wore that scar in daylight. We pulled a still from a week-old clip to match it. Circumstance turned into a fingerprint. Clara walked the binder like a medic walks a cart. Timeline, code, inspection cards, postal list, carrier note, minutes original, minutes edit with 10:03 a.m. in the corner, gate logs with the clerk stamp, group chat with a line later, print ticket with make it look old, night clip still with the crescent sticker. She checked the index she built, closed the cover, and tapped it twice. Straight, she said. No gaps. On the morning of the hearing, Ms. Desai met us in the lot with a short demo post and a pull scale. No slides unless asked, she said. Hands and sound. She hooked the scale out by my truck to show me the pull. The post leaned with a soft creak and stood back up. She smiled. Metal that bends has a voice. Franklin stood and kept it plain. We begin with the mailbox, he said. Then the night before. Then the claims. Ms. Desai took the stand. She hooked the pull scale to the short post and pulled. The metal gave with a small creak and stood back. The sound cut through the room like a tuning fork. She released, and the metal returned to center with a soft, musical tone. Listen, she said. That's the sound of properly engineered flexibility. The judge leaned forward, watching the post reset itself perfectly straight. Physics made visible. Breakaway cores bend and return, she said. Yield slots here and here carry the load. The base fails first to keep a car from flipping. The brick is a sleeve. Base fails before impact flips cars. Hollow. It does not carry force. Her one-page chart went to the bench. Angle, force, energy absorbed. The judge nodded once. Inspector Santiago followed. Both sit. His testimony was surgical. Federal property. Criminal damage. Plate match confirmed. Case referred. Few words, heavy weight. We laid the minutes on the document camera. Draft agenda. Posted minutes. The late line about notices. Properties show 10:03 a.m. Admin, Brenda_Adler. Franklin did not point. He let the bottom corner speak. Then the gate logs. 9 entries. He traced 2 with a pen. 156 Adler. Side gate near County Road 12. 158 Vance. Main entrance. He set the print shop ticket beside them with a margin note. Make it look old. Foundation is laid, the judge said. Play the video. The room dimmed to shade. The midnight clip rolled. 2 figures at the end of my lane. A robe hem brushed a shin. A phone held low like a lantern. The driver slid into Walter's seat. The engine nudged forward 3 feet. A flash lit the plate and the crescent taillight sticker. Both figures ran. Franklin froze the frame on the profile that was not Walter. Shorter, different stance. Stature differs from Walter by inches, and the robe cuff at the wrist. He clicked once to a still from Brenda's own morning live stream. Same robe hem, same house shoes. He did not add spice. An analyst can testify, he said, or the court can apply common sense. HOA counsel rose. Character smear, he said. It goes to credibility, the judge said, and to motive. Franklin did not push further. He placed one more sheet under the camera. The group chat screen. Meet near Arthur's at 1:45. I'll bring the truck. No paper. A line later. He let the words carry their own weight. I looked at Brenda then. She stared at the screen like she wanted the pixels to change. They did not. In that moment, the case stopped being loud. It became simple. Physics does not care about bylaws. Clocks do not care about smiles. Paper does not care about pride. We were one witness, one clip, and one sentence from the bench away from the thing bullies never believe can happen to them. Because the next words in that room would decide it. Would the judge trust a robe and a grin, or a bend in metal, a timestamp in the corner, and a gate that pinged at 1:56? Our quiet board member took the stand. She did not grandstand. She breathed and answered. Who edits the minutes? Brenda. Were notices mailed before the crash? No. Did the board vote 3 yes the night of the emergency rule? No. 2 no's, 1 yes. Later it read 3 yes. Were you told to align the record? Yes. By whom? Brenda. Hubert placed the group chat screen under the camera. Meet near Arthur's at 1:45. I'll bring the truck. No paper. A line later. It did more work than any speech could. Walter took the stand next, jaw tight. Are you a sworn officer? Franklin asked. No. Then why does your vest say police? So people listen. On the morning of the crash, did you turn your wheel to the right before impact? He stared at the table. Yes. Did you see the mailbox? Yes. Did you aim at it? No. The judge looked at the tire arc photo again. It curved like a drawn smile toward my post. He did not need a narrator. Brenda took the stand last. Franklin did not rush. Did you move Mr. Vance's truck the night before the crash? No. Did your fob ping the side gate at 1:56 a.m.? I do not recall. Did you call Mr. Vance at 1:58 a.m.? That is board business. Franklin did not argue. He set the gate log under the camera again and the phone bill beside it with the time. He rested his finger on the 1:56 line and did nothing else. The room heard the silence. Brenda's lawyer tried one last swing. This all hinges on a brick wall in disguise, he said. It looks like a weapon and acts like one. The judge looked at Ms. Desai's letter, at the county card, at Santiago's steady yes answers, at the postal model note, at the native minutes with the late edit, at the gate log, at the clip that did not blink, at the robe hem, at the crescent sticker. He spoke slow. Physics does not care about bylaws, he said. Timestamps do not care about spin. The record here is clear. He ruled from the bench. The court finds the Arthur mailbox complies with county code, he said. The brick cover is non-structural over a breakaway core. Emergency relief was properly denied and remains denied. The plaintiff's claims of negligence and entrapment are dismissed with prejudice. He turned a page. The court further finds credible evidence that HOA minutes were altered after the fact to support a rule not in effect at the relevant time. Sanctions are appropriate. Targeted mailbox rules are enjoined. He set the amount, ordered the HOA to pay my reasonable fees and costs, and barred any new rule targeted at my box. He faced Walter. Restitution for prior damage is ordered. 2 replacements at cost, plus interest. He faced Brenda. As to impersonation and the late-night vehicle movement, this court transmits the record to the sheriff and to the United States Postal Inspection Service. Charging decisions lie with those offices. The court notes credibility concerns with Ms. Adler's testimony. He tapped the gavel once. Not loud. Final. The room breathed. Brenda's face went flat. Walter stared at his shoes. Franklin closed the binder without a smile and gave me a small nod that meant, done right. Gus waited in the hall with his hat in both hands. Amen, he said, and the word did not feel churchy. It felt like a fence post set true. We stepped into the sun. The day felt wider. Tasks returned. Feed, pump, check the hinge on the west gate. A deputy handed Franklin a short instruction sheet about sanctions procedure. Santiago spoke to me in the doorway. Keep your originals, he said. We will be in touch. He did not promise anything. He did not need to. Clean work moves slow, but it moves. At home, the mailbox threw a square shadow on the gravel. The little flag went up when the carrier came. I did not stare at it like a trophy. I looked at it like a tool that did its job and would keep doing it if left alone. That evening, phones lit up across the subdivision. The board called a special meeting. Room open. Minutes to be taken in native format. Change log visible. 1 seat vacated. 2 to be filled. It would not be about me. It would be about whether this place wanted rules or wanted bullies in costumes. Brenda stood by the elevator after court with her phone in her hand. This is not over, she said. In that room. It is, I said. The rest belongs to the people you tried to scare with vinyl letters. She did not answer. Doors closed on her face, like a curtain. Back at the gate, Gus leaned on the fence and looked at the brick sleeve, then at the clean arc where cars now gave my ditch space. Looks simple, he said. Simple as hard, I said. He nodded. Hard holds. We watched dusk pull the color out of the road. The cottonwoods whispered. A calf bawled once, quick and sure. Somewhere a screen lit up with an agenda that did not lie. Somewhere a gavel waited to tap and not shout. What came next would not be a fight. It would be a vote. And a vote on a good night is just a quieter kind of showdown. One where paper beats noise while everybody's hands are open and the clock runs forward. A week after court, the calls came in order. The sheriff first. Diane's new fence went up with help from 6 neighbors. As we stretched the last wire, she handed me an envelope. Inside, 5 homeowners had signed a petition to recall the entire board. This mailbox thing woke people up, she said. Nobody's scared anymore. The real victory wasn't in court. It was in the spine I watched straighten in my neighbors, one by one. They had the vest photos, the vinyl police on Walter's door, the gate log, the midnight clip. We're handling impersonation, the sergeant said. No swagger, just work. Inspector Santiago called next. Our file is with the United States Attorney, he said. Clean record, no promises. Enough said. 2 envelopes landed the same day. One from the HOA for fees and costs. One from Walter for the earlier hits, interest included. I took both to the bank. The letters went behind the inspection cards in the binder. Paper in order, noise outside. Neighbors drifted by the fence. Diane brought cookies and her USPS receipt. 2 others showed ruts and fresh case numbers. No speeches, just the simple ask. A box that lives through dawn. The special meeting filled the room without a show. Voices plain, minutes that don't move, one said. Safety, not costumes, another said. The quiet board member kept her seat. 2 new names won. One resigned. The vote to remove Brenda passed by a lot. She stood, tried a small smile, and stepped down. Walter set the vest on the table and left it there. The vinyl word came off his truck 2 days later, peeled like a bad label. The following week, 3 more subdivisions requested our new bylaws as a template. The county planning office began requiring HOAs to file minutes in searchable format with change logs attached. Ms. Desai showed me a memo. They were revising all building permits to clarify that HOAs cannot override county code. One mailbox had shifted something larger than itself, not by shouting, but by standing. We wrote rules that fit in a hand. No private patrols, no fake badges, no rule aimed at one person. Minutes must post in native format with a visible change log and a name on each edit. Small, Clear, strong. Back at the ranch, the mailbox did its job. Calm one because paper did. Breakaway core inside. Hollow sleeve outside. Little flag up when the carrier came. I checked the cams out of habit, then turned toward the pasture. Calves were due. That beat headlights. A boy from down the lane braked by the gate and stared at the post like it had metals. It didn't fall, he said. No, I said. It bent and came back. He nodded and popped a small wheelie. His laugh carried down the road. Clara taped the sanction notice on the fridge next to her chili recipe. Above it, I kept one page that started all this. Facts, 10 lines. Hit, fix, camera, clip, inspect, approve, serve. Not a trophy, a reminder. Gus came at dusk with a coil of wire. We leaned on the fence and watched drivers give the ditch space. The gravel arc was clean. Looks simple, he said. Simple as hard, I said. He nodded. Hard holds. The sheriff sent a short note a week later. Impersonation review open. Santiago sent a shorter one. File in federal hand. Small words. Real weight. Walter passed me at the feed store a month later. No chest tap this time. No threat about accidents happening to people. He kept 3 feet of careful distance. Eyes down. I hadn't set out to make a man afraid. I just wanted my mail delivered. But some lessons need to sink deep to take hold. I thought about the easy path. Pull the sleeve. Call it peace. That would teach the wrong thing. That loud wins. That minutes can bend time. That costumes move law. This road learned a better truth. Physics does not care about bylaws. Timestamps do not care about spin. Paper-proof beats noise when you let it stand. On the last warm night before frost, I walked to the gate with Gus. We looked at the straight line where tires now stayed honest. The cottonwoods talked. A calf bawled and settled. The sky turned the kind of blue that ends a day clean. The mailbox did not care about court or meetings or edits at 1:03 in the morning. It waited for letters. That is the point. Quiet is not a gift from loud people. Quiet is a post you set true, with a core that bends and returns and a record that does not move when someone pushes in the dark. Quiet isn't what bullies give you when they're finished. Quiet is what happens when truth finally gets its turn to speak.